Or takes a hot second to start. So, I don't want to depress anybody further than the show already did, but Mobius didn't get his jet ski. That's it. That's it. Jack, do you wanna begin by saying your thoughts on last episode before we go through the trial that was episode 6?
Yeah. So I'm back from the void. We're all good. There's a big free-for-all of Jack variants fighting there. Pretty sure I'm the last one standing. We'll see. But no, yeah, last episode, I was away with family, which is why I wasn't on call. So I wound up watching it on the family TV in a brightly lit room, so I could hardly see what was happening on screen. Wasn't allowed the volume too high. Family were talking over it. So I didn't really get to see much of it. I didn't even finish the episode. I stopped before the Goliath fight. But ultimately, I think that's for giving it an 8.5.
Oh shit!
Oh my goodness! Which variant are you?
Well, what did you expect? It was a 10. Of course, it was a 10.
Oh! Well, that was magnificent, Dom.
So wait, you're and a Jack variant?
Multiverse, baby.
Yeah.
I mean, you just
brilliant.
Yeah, accurate.
Well, it's more accurate now since Sylvie decided to fuck shit up. So it makes sense.
Yeah. Woo!
Well, first of all, my friend Jack just died. Second of all, starting off on a high note.
And birthday costume from the Wizard of Oz.
It fits.
Reasoning.
I'm purple. That's it. I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say what I think everyone here is afraid to say. Episode 6 hurt me, and I think I liked it.
I mean, I liked it. I'm still shook by that one scene that I will explain later on, but yeah.
The jump scare.
I think it hurt me, but I don't think it's the same way that everybody else feels. But we'll get to that in a little bit.
I knew this was gonna happen. I knew something like this was gonna happen with Kang, but Jesus.
You know what was
that,
weird is that I kind of like almost called it last episode, but not really, about He Who Remains being like. But I did not think that they were going to bring him in like that, though, like straight from the gate.
I mean, in hindsight, it's so obvious. Like, I've talked about like the idea that it could be Kang on the channel. I haven't actually, like, I think I went into it on a stream when someone asked who Kang was. I didn't really say some of the stuff about Kang. What just happened was basically Kang's origin. Like, Kang's whole thing is there are multiple different versions of him all across the timeline. Usually they team up. Usually there's a council of Kangs. But it seems like in this version they're all enemies. And the idea of making He Who Remains a variant Kang, it just makes sense. They simplified everything complex about Kang, which includes the fact that he's technically Mr. Fantastic's grandson or something, and they included that kind of by mentioning he was a scientist. Jeez.
31st century, yeah.
I gotta be real, dude. This is a therapy session for me. This is where I unload my stress. How did you guys feel? Because I'm not okay yet.
I'm not okay either. Mel, you can go first.
I'm frustrated, but I think it's for slightly different reasons. But the one thing I can say right now is fuck Sylvie. I don't fucking like her.
Ooh.
Nah. Like that was entirely like, like Sylvie is a prime example of what I hate that they do sometimes with character development is stunting the growth. Like, I get the trauma and all that, and that she was seeking kind of vengeance, but just from how you saw her kind of develop since the first time you saw her till now, I thought that this would go a slightly different way. Like, the only thing that I will say that I was really hoping that they would not do is the Loki kiss scene. Like, that was just cringy. Like, I had to, like, pause it to just being like, oh, that was cringy. But that wasn't my problem. It was, like, you saw her kind of develop. And, especially in the last episode, like, I thought that she came fully to her own just for her to kind of backtrack was really fucking disappointing. Like, I wasn't against, like, them killing He Who Remains. Like, I kind of would have preferred that instead of 2 Lokis now being in charge of the TVA, honestly, because that would have been, like, a stupid choice on Marvel's part. But it's just Sylvie's character development as a whole was, I think, the most disappointing, especially, like, you could have given, like, other characters, like, better growth. Or you could have given them more time. And you kind of focused it a lot on her just for it to being like, oh, never mind. But like I said, that's not the only thing. That's just the one I feel like talking about right now since we're still early on.
I feel that. I think it was handled. I handled pretty well. Like, I kind of liked how these two characters are, like, at the end of Sylvie almost seems more like Loki at this point than Loki, where she got lost in her own ambition, her own, as classic Loki put it last time, glorious purpose. That became more important than what this was. But Jack, do you have anything to add? I just want to get everyone's thoughts before we just all unload.
Sure, just on the episode as a whole, great. Like, great. I gave episode 4? I gave a 10. And last week, once having properly watched it, gave it a 10. Because I don't want to delve into giving 11s, but it's like I feel like these past 3 have sort of just kept getting better for me.
The rule with 11s, because I made it on the seat of my pants, is you're allowed to do it whenever you want, but it has to be rare in order to be special.
Yeah, like I don't think this gets an 11 from me, but it is most certainly very high.
I definitely like this. This is the big criticism with all the Disney Plus shows, and even if I don't fully disagree with this criticism, it keeps coming up. People keep saying they're not sticking the landing. This one stuck the landing, and it stuck the landing with a knife directly into my heart that said landing on it. It hurts. How do you feel, Cher? How was the jump scare for you? All right, moving on.
Wait, which jump scare? Sorry, like, you guys kind of cut out for me.
Miss Minutes, there was a jump scare with her at the beginning.
Oh my god.
Oh, you thought that was a jump scare?
That was
it was for me.
That was
Jack. I got scared by that.
Oh my god.
I guess maybe I've watched, like, way too much fucked up shit in my lifetime where it's just like, if that's a jump scare, then I must either be the bravest person in the world or I'm very numb to it now.
I mean, there's been people have been tweeting about it all day about the whole jump scare, how to compare it to, like, the Five Nights at Freddy's and stuff.
Say,
and oh my gosh. Oh my god!
I have absolutely no connection to Five Nights at Freddy's whatsoever. I do not. I wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah, neither would I. I mean,
stuff already, but yeah.
I don't like horror things. I get scared so easily. I'm such a scaredy cat, and I freaking love Miss. Put that thing away, please. I don't feel comfortable with that thing. I don't feel comfortable with that thing.
You didn't mind when I wore a Jason mask the whole episode, but you don't like the blush?
No, I don't.
Remember Miraculous Ladybug with that balloon man. This is your turn.
Hey, what's fair is fair, share. I mean, you did fuck him up with that picture last episode.
So
this is karma?
That visual has stuck with me, Charisse.
I know. What the hell did I do?
Share, it's not just about karma. We all are about equality here, okay? And one of the things I believe is being like, if you've done something to someone else, they have the right to get back at you.
Just as like when Jack as Loki stabbed himself. Are you joking now? What are you?
We are not using that moniker. No.
I'm using it. You can come kill me next if you don't like it.
I screamed. Oh my god, I screamed. I haven't screamed like that since the other encounter that I had with I'm not going to say the character's name. I don't like when I bring the character's name up, but you can. Neil probably already knows who I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's from a Stephen King novel. It's a character.
Okay.
But
I don't think both word stuff. But oh my god. I mean, I guess wait, but she didn't turn into a kaiju monster.
Oh, we had that last episode.
We did have the kaiju monster last episode. However, I still contend. I still contend. Here's the thing. I think there is a whole conspiracy theory with Miss Minutes that I'll get into later. I think she still might be an eldritch abomination. We'll see. We're getting to season 2. I generally believe that she knows something, dude. She is the one that made the offer. She's the one that gave Renslayer this random direction to go in. She cannot be trusted.
I will agree with that. She is yeah.
I'm just saying. We saw He Who Remains this episode. She is working with Kang. She is working with Kang the Conqueror.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am sure of it. So still hurting. I'm not even playing it for a joke.
My dad was, "Are you okay?" And he has
so good. I hate all of it.
He hasn't seen Loki yet. My dad hasn't seen Loki yet. So when I screamed at the Miss Smith's jump scare, I know not everyone. I get scared pretty easily. So yeah. So I couldn't tell him what happened because he hasn't seen it yet, and he hates spoilers. But he thought I had a heart attack or something.
I did a list. I showed it to you guys. I did a list of my favorite Marvel things. Because
oh my gosh, what's happening? Are you okay? Oh.
Hello, I'm fine, right? Am I fine?
Okay, now you're fine. Now you're okay. You just keep glitching.
Oh no. All right. Well, I'll try to talk less this episode.
You're like Vanilla Peavon Sweets from Rugged Ralph. You keep glitching. You're a glitch.
Well, I was just gonna say that Loki as a show might be my second favorite thing the MCU has ever done. Number 1 is still Captain America: The Avenger, but just off of that finale, I was like, oh, after the finale, I'm sure it will drop. I'm sure it will drop to 4 or 5, and we'll get lower on the list. No, it's still my second favorite thing. I love it. It was a great show, great experience. my biggest complaints were episode 3, and honest to God, I can forgive all that compared to all the really cool stuff. Like, I can ignore a little bit of bad if it means, and it wasn't even bad, it was just not great. I can ignore a little bit of not great if it means I get all this really good. What do you think, Jack? Because I noticed that your notes took a turn towards the end.
Yeah, no, I was.
Also, you're welcome from last week's episode, by the way. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Filling my role. My notes start. I was going to say they start off rather coherent. My third note is WTF, but they start off relatively coherent. Just as it goes. Let me skip forward a bit. I took a lot of notes this episode, actually.
Oh wow!
Surprisingly, I think a lot happened. It's still relatively coherent as Loki returns to the TVA, and then it's just Kang rules the TVA.
Dun 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 dun.
He's too late.
Dun dun dun.
What? Ah!
That's when the credits rolled, wasn't it?
Yes. By the way, again, soundtrack with the credits going. I have her name open in a tab just so I can properly say. Was it Natalie Holt? Just round of applause for this series' soundtrack. I was listening to it on Spotify earlier. Just amazing. Well done. Properly. Great.
Yeah, I fully agree. I loved the music. I think that, like, God, okay, I need to take this story a step at a time. That's how we get for. So at the beginning, when Miss Minutes offered Loki and Sylvie the way out where they could both live on the timeline, how did we feel about that? Do we like that? Do we think like it doesn't track with what he who remains tries to do later? Or what we think?
I was hoping you'd bring that up. It kind of felt like at first it felt, it felt valid because, like, especially I believe in, like, last episode, we definitely knew that, like, Miss Minutes had a little bit more of a role to play than what, she was appearing. She was giving not so subtle hints with that. And it just confirmed it, which is just like, okay, awesome. You're more than just like this program for the TVA. You're actually like more. I felt, though, that her offering that was extremely redundant, though. Because he doesn't bring that up to the table at fucking all of being like, because in a way it was just like, hey, she pretty much, was giving this offer, but yet then when He Who Remains gave his offer, it was just like, then why even put her in the equation at all to give them like an alternative out? Like, yes, you can kind of rule it as being like she was trying to give them an out of like, hey, I can do this for you. He can do this for you if you turn away right now. But that wasn't even brought up as a question of being like, hey, if you leave right now, we can give you your happily ever after and you both can coherently exist in the timeline. It felt kind of redundant to me of being like, why even bring that up, or why even have her, be there for a second just for it to be kind of casted aside, especially like you don't see her again in the remainder of the episode after when she talks to, Ro. I'm just going to call her Ro because I always fuck up her name, but yeah, but after that point, it's just like, well, that was kind of pointless. Like, I think that's like my second biggest gripe, but it's more like a nitpick, if anything, of being like, I just don't like it when, especially Marvel has shown that they can do great things. So it felt really lazy on their part of being like, why even bring her in if she's just going to be redundant for the rest of the episode? Like, there is just no point. And I think the only like thing that like Marvel and Disney kind of bank on is like people's, fandoms or nostalgia. So I really only think possibly the only reason why they did that was because Tara Strong voices her and being like, oh, Tara Strong's back again. And that's not really a great way to do it. And see, Cher just proves my point. It's that. That's why they keep doing that. And it makes me mad.
Oh.
Well, not at you. Not at you. Yeah. But you still prove my point.
Yeah. I think I agree that it doesn't quite track with what we've been shown thus far of the whole sacred timeline, the idea that this would be possible at all. But I also think it's because the scene is sort of our last scene of bigging up He Who Remains, of like, this guy can do this seemingly impossible thing. But no, he can do it, whether he could or not, and it's just hyping him up.
Right.
Man. But it's building up this guy. I was very put off for that entire scene by Miss Minutes. Because it's just a shot of the hallway, and then she just appears for that jump scare with the wide eyes and shrunken pupils.
Nope.
They keep the wide eyes and shrunken pupils throughout the rest of the scene. She's just staring at them the entire
together, Cher.
as she's trying to be like, oh yeah, here's this great opportunity for you. She is just glaring at them. Very. I enjoyed the scene because of that, so I didn't feel like it was dragging or that it didn't need to be there. In the sense that we didn't see much else of Miss Minutes, I feel like we will in season 2, which is the first time we're saying that. It's going to be said a lot in this recording. Oh, I think I've frozen. Have I frozen? No, I'm not. Okay, no.
I'm not frozen.
I think
You're fine.
Because we were saying there's something going on with Miss Minutes. Here, it was seemingly is working for He Who Remains, as sort of an ambassador to the TVA, along with the Timekeepers.
Yeah.
But in a more hands-on way. And I look forward to seeing what's going to happen next with that, given the shake-up with the TVA at the end.
Yeah, I think the reason Miss Minutes was in this episode, at least from my perception, she's probably here to like sow those seeds of what the fuck is she doing here. The like Ravonna went, and this happened before the death of He Who Remains. Kind of shows He Who Remains had a backup plan of some sort that Ravonna is now a part of. I think we can assume she went to go talk to Kang, but like I don't know if we know the extent of that. And I think Miss Minutes is kind of a clutch for all that.
I could see that. But given that He Who Remains was the only Kang until he was killed, granted that's at the end of the timeline and outside of the timeline, so however directly things work in parallel. Can't say, but I don't know.
I
don't know.
Time is weird. I don't think I like it. Cheryl will be back. She has to go pick up her family. Had a bit of an emergency, but that is all right. We shall prosper forward. So, how do we feel about? I forget the actor's name. It's John.
It's
yes.
Neil?
You're breaking up, Neil.
I think he's now employed.
The name me.
Neil? He's back.
Okay.
Yep. Jonathan Majors.
I thought that was the actor's name. I hate everything. I am literally breaking fucking The TVA is trying to silence me.
They are.
I mean, I'll just throw out a lot of thoughts now then, and I guess I'll go silent for a little bit and let you guys speak. I think in general, the reason I'm so dumbfounded by this episode in particular, because I think it's the one that hit me the hardest, is I was just so surprised by how well they handled this material, because they could have put anybody in there and sort of told the same story, but they got Jonathan Majors, they got Kang, and because of that, like, it really makes me wonder what would have happened if Mephisto was in WandaVision. Would that have been a more eventful ending? Because Kang really did become the new Mephisto. So I truly wonder if maybe if they would have met the expectations held by the fans, if it would have pulled off in the way it did. Because, like, my expectations were exceeded. Like, I thought Kang could show up. This wasn't Kang, it was just a huge tease of him. And it was wonderful to me. Jack, do you have anything to add? I noticed your face went through like a journey.
Well, when you said Mephisto, I wrote down Mephisto in my notes here, because when we first encountered this Kang, Conqueror, He Who Remains, Immortus character, he's holding an apple, and I'm like, it's the fruit of the tree of knowledge. He's Satan. He is tempting them with this offer. Symbolism.
I do think...
Is this Mephisto? And it took me until, I think, it was once he was sat down at the table. I think it was after we cut to Mobius, then cut back to them. I realized, is this the actor who was cast as Kang? I think this is Kang, and then they talk more, and it's like, okay, this is Kang.
Hold up, that kind of adds up, because if you think about it, Loki and Sylvie are kind of Adam and Eve to what frickin' He Who Remains is doing, and their actions literally lead to the creation of free will and also the multiverse. It is kind of a weird parallel to, like, maybe that's why the fucking apple's actually there. I think you kind of nailed it.
I think that's so. I think it's still a little bit of an overstretch as a symbolism, but that might be me too. Because, like, the thing I was gonna play off of that is being like, well, if you, especially for those who are not familiar with the comics, that's really easy to, like, have that little, like, brainstorm of being like, maybe this is Mephisto or maybe this is it, until, like, because He Who Remains, a lot of people don't know that that's his actual title. Like, that's his name that was given, and being like, that can be easily, like, persuasive. That's what I instantly went to. Like, yes, you guys kind of have a point with the Adam and Eve symbolism in a way, but at the same time, I feel like it's a little bit too much of a stretch. So I'm just gonna go with, if you're not comic book savvy at all, you're gonna wonder who he is until it's just like, oh, that's actually what he's known by, is He Who Remains. He's not Mephisto. He's not this character. He's not it's actually, he's his own. So that's how, like, I kind of perceived it. But the symbolism can be kind of there, like, or at least how you guys explain it, being like, I guess, like, if anything, not even the apple part, I think, like, the nail on the head was when, Neil mentioned the Adam and Eve thing with Loki and Sylvie, being like, he was kind of giving a little bit of those vibes of being like, you have the option to either take his place or kill me and see what fucking happens next. Being like, but just to let you know, choose the latter. There's gonna be some consequences, and boy, consequences.
I knew He Who Remains was his own character, not being Kang or Mephisto or anything.
Yeah.
But then here they sort of made him a Kang, Immortus type character. I was just going with the apple, and he's tempting them and offering them.
Oh yeah, this is
tempting them. Is Miss Minutes an avatar of Kang? Because Satan came as a snake. Tangent. I'm just BSing here, but the apple.
I don't know, dude. I think there's some validity to it. I think there is a solid comparison. I don't think they're actually adamant.
You make those comparisons, then I'm just saying Apple. You know.
I mean, I adored this little bit of Kang. I loved his cocky attitude and how he was like, "Nah, we can all be friends. We can have tea as we discuss maybe me dying."
Because he knows everything that's going to happen up until a certain point, so he knows he's safe until then.
Mm-hmm.
He's known everything that would happen for all of eternity until that moment. And the joy on his face once you get that long, slow take of the camera going in and out from him as he realizes this is new. I've never experienced this. I mean, he did when he was Franklin Richards or whatever. Hasn't experienced this for eons.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they're fighting, he's just loving it. I thought this was great.
I hate to be that guy. I hate to be that guy, Jack. I think his name is actually Nathaniel Richards.
My bad. I don't know much Kang stuff. This is just
that's why
everything everyone said over the past 6 weeks.
That's why I was having an issue with that, was being like, why is he saying this name? I'm pretty sure it was different, being like, but I just kind of was like, oh, it'll come to me, and then Neil said it, and being like, that's what I fucking thought.
Cool.
But it's alright. Franklin's a fitting name.
I mean, now, okay, you guys are more familiar with Kang in the comics and other media than I am. So,
right.
I've got two questions here then for you to answer for me.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Kang, one of his forms is Immortus, who is not He Who Remains. Those are two different characters that they've sort of combined for this story.
So what was interesting is he was wearing the clothes of Immortus.
Yep.
Right.
He was wearing Immortus's costume. But yes,
so yes,
you're right.
In a way, he's right. Just because, he was wearing the costume of Immortus. So yeah, in a way, I feel like that this was because Marvel actually has done this quite a bit of times. They have fused especially like when Disney took the reins. Like, they'll fuse characters to either, progress the story faster of being like, hey, this is what you got, which is the more lazier road that they do. Or they do it as, like, a brief reference of being like, hey, this is part of the comics, or hey, this might be a thing later on, especially since we're going into phase 4.
Sylvie is literally 4 different people from the comics.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I think I said it in a previous video. The YouTube channel Nando V Movies just done a great series of videos talking about that throughout the MCU's. Oh, Ego is a combination of Ego and Jason and all these different characters, and this character's a combination of these. And go check them out if you've got the time.
It's a common thing that they do, which some people might argue it might be lazy, but also to me it's a laziness that kind of works, just because somebody can like the MCU does not always necessarily mean that they want to dive into the comics, especially like the comics have been going on since I think when was Marvel's first issue? I think it was in the 60s.
I have no idea. I don't know.
But it's gone on for a long time, and that's a lot of info to read. That's also too, like, you're not even counting different multiverses or alternative worlds with it. Like, it's just a lot. So I think, like, as long as the reference is there, it's a laziness that can be forgiven, because no comic book fan, in my opinion, and this is where I'll kill the war between comic book Marvel fans and MCU once and for all, is being like, you don't have to read the comics to love Marvel. Like, yes, you might not understand a lot, but you can't expect people to go decades, almost, I think, half a century of comic books, as long as they make the reference into it. That's all that matters, of being like, hey, they're at least including it, even if we'll never get to see it's in its entirety. as long as they throw it
Mm.
in, that's all that matters. And being like, and I think like just comic book people just need to kind of chill. Like, there's a few exceptions to that rule too. Like Civil War, I think that's the one I'll have the most grievances with. But at the same time, it's just like, yeah, you can only put in so much. But yes, he was wearing. They did kind of combine, like, Here Who Remains with Nimbus with the costume anyway. But your second question though with King.
Just before I go into that, I agree with everything you said, but I also think it's good because it keeps you comic fans, and I've read some Marvel comics as well, but not as much as you guys. Keeps you on your toes as well. It keeps you interested in enjoying the movie, because if it was just a direct adaptation of it into live action, that's cool.
I say this. I have a Marvel comic right here. Like I'm a pretty long-term Marvel. I think the MCU, just because of how it does do some simplified stuff like that and how it combines it all together, for me personally, is my favorite version of the story. But go ahead, Jeff.
Cool. So my second big question was, so again, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on this, but my understanding of Kang, my understanding of Kang in the comics, in other media, is that he's a time traveler. He jumps around the timeline, timelines, I assume, higgledy-piggledy all over the place. So the different iterations of him are still just this one guy's life, was my understanding. Whereas, whereas here we're doing variants, which works because that's what we've spent the entire show setting up. So I like that. But correct me if I'm wrong.
So in a way, you're kind of right. Like for those who don't know,
it's time travel, so it gets complicated. I know, but
right. So he's kind of, I guess, like the best, like, similar comparison to Kang with at least like the MCU is kind of like Thanos in a way. Like in the comics, he is a conqueror, and yes, like and his goal is to rule basically, and he has his own agenda and stuff with it. It's not like Thanos at all, and especially definitely not like Thanos in the comics, because Thanos is more of a prick.
He's a romantic. What are you talking about?
Oh no, comic book Thanos is a prick, being like they did not, like, yeah, they tried making him sympathetic and shit, which I don't think was like totally like necessary, because in the comics it's just like he was doing all that just to fuck Death, pretty much. Like, have a one-night stand with Death at least, being like, yeah. Which centers around
hell of a goal.
You want a Death skeleton movie.
Hell of a goal, and also too, because of him, he actually is the reason that Deadpool's actually immortal. But I digress on that. But Kang's kind of similar of at least like the goal of being like, yeah, rule the world. It's just his motives are extremely different.
Okay.
And
I do have an explanation. I didn't mean to interrupt, Belle. I apologize.
He's got the timeline sword. Oh no.
Yeah. Well, but otherwise you are kind of you are pretty much on the nose. He is more of a time traveler, type of villain, where it's just like, yeah, more of his conquest is like related to the different universes and the different timelines. So in a way, you're kind of on the nose.
So to simplify my question a little bit more, so it's like Doctor Who is like the Master or the Doctor, where it's, occasionally he'll meet up with himself, but they are the same person growing up. It's the same linear person jumping around and interacting with themselves at different people points.
So here's what it's like. Imagine this is Nathaniel Richards, okay?
Okay.
And imagine this is Kang. Now, they're both still the same thing. They're both still the sword. They are both Kang the Conqueror and Nathaniel Richards. However, there is also a past, which is also a future. Roll with me on this. Yeah. Where Kang went back in time and lived a different life, has Immortus. So, this is Immortus Immortus is still technically these two things, but because Kang went back in time to further, Immortus is technically the first in the timeline.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I get that. So in this, so Immortus isn't, let's say, Nathaniel Richards, grows up, takes up the name Kang, and as an old man, just changes his name to Immortus. Instead, it's he grows up, becomes Kang, goes back in time, and lives a different life that ends in a different way. So it's like the multiverse is branching off because he time travels. So
Yeah,
it's like there's a bunch of alternate versions of him branching off.
Honestly, it was basically what they did, but better. Because what they tried to do was be like, no, they are the same person who lived the same life, and it fucked everything up.
Because it means, if he dies at some point, all future versions of him shouldn't exist, and...
Essentially, yeah.
But no, so he more or less is just variants. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. This is what we got was the best version of this idea. Like, as far as I'm concerned.
I agree with you, just because I feel like that they, made it a little bit more short, sweet, to the point, unlike the comics, because the comics can get extremely lengthy with that, and especially, like, Iron Lad is another variant of his, in a way, and, like, they pretty much, I think they simplified it to, especially, like, combine, like, having He Who Remains pretty much die, I think, really simplified it. So I do have to agree with you, Neil. It is my favorite version of it thus far, just because they dumbed it down, like, short, sweet, to the point, being like, here's Kang, here's this, here's that, here you go.
It's my favorite because it's easy to understand, god damn it. That was Kang's biggest issue.
Well, yeah, Kang is a hugely complex character. Like, Neil gave you, like, I think, a pretty easy explanation, even if he explained that to somebody else, it would probably, if they had no knowledge of him, it would have went over their head.
Yeah, I think I understand it.
I mean,
I don't.
Sure, just because I don't. With this version, though, I think I loved the performance by Jonathan Majors. I thought there were, like, I kind of loved his looks. Like, his face told a lot of the story. Like, obviously he was eccentric because, like, he had lived all these lives. He's cocky and he's got a bit of a way he's dealing with all this stuff. But the way that he, like, stumbles on his words and, like, sort of takes moments to just stare, I was like, you've lived a full life and you're now dealing with something that scares you. Is sort of what I viewed. Like, he doesn't know what happens next. He knows that eventually it's going to be okay for him, but he doesn't know. Like, he just died technically. That had to suck, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think like with that, he already knew that was an option. I think with that scene in particular, it was like he was expecting one or two things. Like, that's all he knew, was being like, either you fuckers are going to kill me and cause chaos amongst the timelines and all the universes that are in existence, or you guys are just going to take my place. So when they hit that point and when he revealed that, I mean, it was unsettling of the fact of being like, yeah, He Who Remains, like, he hyped himself up too, of being like, he knows everything before anyone can even have the thought of it, being like, oh, you were going to have this thought 5 minutes from now, but I already knew it way before you even had it in your head. And just to see him, like, at the edge like that, of being like, oh, well, I only know what I know. I don't know anything further. And I think that's also, too, like, a sign of, like, how actually knowledgeable he is, because he only knows what will happen. Like, those were the only two options. It was like there was no middle ground, in a way. It was kind of like being like, no, one of these options are going to happen, and, like, there is no compromise. there is no, gray area in this. It's being like, it's a black and white scenario, so kill me or take my place so that way I can retire. Either way, I think that's what, defined him. I also too kind of felt like it was a little bit too easy, but that's why I kind of did like the result of him dying, because there should have not been a middle ground. Like, I think I would have been more pissed if they found some, bullshit, third option of being like, oh, we can actually do this instead of the other two.
Yeah.
But yeah, it also too shows being like, he's all knowing and he is all powerful, and the time and time is literally on his, beck and call. But if he doesn't know what else could happen, that means there is nothing else that can happen.
I feel that. I think with this dude, with this whole situation, he really brought out the character development of Loki. Like,
yeah,
I loved seeing these scenes where Loki is, for all intents and purposes, the hero who's like, let's take a minute, let's think, let's figure this out. Which is not, because Loki has always kind of been the crafty guy. Like, it makes sense that he would be the one, like, take a step back. Sylvie has always been, I kick down the door and I throw fits. I think that these moments... Yeah, I think that these moments... I think that these moments where they're just fighting each other, like, this is all I've worked up to, and Loki is, like, letting the sword touch hand. Like, what he's fighting for there isn't, like, he says it's for Sylvie. I don't know if I fully believe that. I think he generally just wants to save the world. Like, that's what I believe. I think he doesn't want more people to get hurt.
Right. That's where I 100% agree with you, which is why I prefer what they did with Loki over Sylvie, because that's where you're actually seeing his full-on character, like nothing you ever saw before. Like, I think the closest was, when he quote-unquote died, to help save, Thor and all that. I think, Infinity War. I'm pretty sure. It's been a hot minute since I've seen Infinity War Endgame, so excuse me if I'm like mistaken it. But unlike Sylvie, which is just like, they built her up just to have her kind of like, halted, of being like just pretty much going back to square one. Loki's in full circle now of being like, the closest you've ever seen him before was in Infinity War, where he sacrificed himself. But this whole show just showed being like, he may be a villain. Like, in my opinion, they did Loki right, whereas I think they did Thanos wrong with the sympathy.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's a really hot take for some, but like I said earlier, Thanos was not a good person. Also, too, even though they made him into a sympathetic character in the MCU, his shit was still evil. It was so selfish. Like, a lot of people pointing out, being like, he could have done it in many different ways and did not have to, basically, Thanos, half of the universe to accomplish his goal. If anything, his problem to the solution was actually worse. But with Loki, though, it's just like, you actually got to see him be emotional at parts of the MCU. You saw like a little bit of the struggle, and then with this show in particular, you got to actually see it in full swing of being like, he actually does hate himself, or he hates what he's done. He's wanted to be this, only to find out that no, he's actually, no matter what he did, he was going to be beaten into the fucking ground over and over. And so that's where I do agree with you of, I don't think it was just for Sylvie, because that would have just totally diminished that everything I just said. If it was just Sylvie being like, I think this was in comparison to like other like kind of similar to like like coming into adulthood tales are like, you know, this is him officially, like, I think growing up, of being like, the world is not just about him. It's not about, oh, poor Loki can't even be a bad guy kind of, right? It was, no, it's not just about me. I'm not the only one who's being affected by everything. Being like, here are these, you know, here's the TVA who's pretty much has ruined people's lives, whether, you know, they worked for the TVA or did not. But here's this, you know, terrible thing that claims it did good. And it kind of made him look outside of himself, I'm pretty sure. So I liked how he actually not only tried, you know, taking a step back and being like, hey, let's not, let's take a minute. Let's not shoot first and ask questions later. Let's, like, he was actually trying to see what would be a gray area, even though, like, you know, He Who Remains pretty much, you know, made it clear, being like, there is none. He was still trying for the sake of everyone in any existence. So I think that the show is like, that's where this episode was favored to me, was seeing that growth with Loki.
Yeah, I feel
coming
that.
in the circle.
Do you have anything you want to add, Jack? Because there was a ton that happened in this episode, and also not a ton. Like,
Yeah.
I think that, like, the ramifications are what really speak about this episode. But go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with the point about this is how far Loki has come. I do disagree in that I do think there is a component in that of also wanting to. He's trying to save the world, the universe. There's not a multiverse at that moment, but the multiverse. There's also a "let me save you" part of it too. He's trying to protect someone who cares of it.
Yeah, he's
Right,
into her.
and I
He
think
loves
that's
her.
not what.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Like, full
I
on.
think what Neil and I were just trying to convey is that it's not just for Sylvie.
Yeah.
Like, Sylvie is a part of the equation. Yes, because like, he does love her.
Yeah, I think he says during the scene
By
as
week.
well, oh, we need to stop and think about the ramifications of this.
I think when I really think about it, I honestly can't blame Sylvie for killing He Who Remains, because this whole show, and literally our whole diagnosis of the show, is everybody is fucking lying at all times. And that has been the case every time. Everybody is trying to lie to each other, and nobody can trust anybody. Sylvie has learned from the show, I can't trust anybody. It's just this time she really needed to trust Loki. Loki needed to be the one person she could trust, and she couldn't do it. I kind of like...
All white lies lead to a black truth.
Hi, Cher.
I'm sure.
I'm still here. I just haven't left yet. I was just saying all white lies lead to a black truth.
Ooh.
No,
I can be deep. I can be deep. I'm more than just being random scaredy cat. I can be deep too.
Right. No, and I actually agree. That was actually going to be like, you actually played on to like my next point, is being like, like, I think that's not my problem with Sylvie, because like, like, lying can be necessary at times. Like, the only times like I understand it is like, I'll use you, Jack, as an example, right? Like, you work a 9-to-5 job, like, let's say retail, right? Like, hypothetically speaking, and you know that this job is shit. They don't pay you well at all for you to handle the bullshit, and a lot of those jobs, you know, some won't even let you like have a day off just for the sake of it. So you lie one day, and you don't, and as long as you don't do it a lot, it's fine. But you lied one day and being like, hey, I'm actually like really sick with something that's contagious. I can't make it to work, even though that could be a lie. Like, you could actually not be sick at all, but it's a necessary lie. In comparison to this show, I think it like portrays it being like, yes, sometimes lying is a natural human thing to do, of being like, as long as you do it once in a while, and as long as it's not building up, because the more you build up with the lies, like let's take your scenario again, but except for you do this every week or every other day and call in with another lie being like, oh, just my luck, my car broke down, or oh, my dad died even though he didn't die. It shows being like, yeah, lies, if not controlled, is like a web. Eventually it's going to get tangled and the truth comes out. But also too, sometimes people are fine with or only lie because they think that they're sparing somebody from the ugly truth. That's why they call, lies beautiful lies and the truth the ugly truth, because yeah, the truth is hard to hear, but it's necessary. Whilst with, lies, yes, they can be beautiful, or as Cher said, being like, little white lies can eventually lead to a black truth. Where it's just like the more you lie, the more you're hurt. So that's where, yes, I do agree with you, Neil. Her actions were justified. Of who wouldn't in her situation, being like her life was basically taken from her and destroyed all over a place that is filled with nothing but lies. And her being alone all this time, on top of that, she never got to form relationships either, because she was always on the run, because she wasn't meant to be here. And that's a really hard thing to say, but I think what made her more disappointing character growth wise, kind of like what you said, is being like, yeah, like you got to be around your other variant. You got to see Loki, the one that we all come to know and love, the way that he is actually raw. Like, he's not just a liar. He's not just a greedy fucker. He's not just this, narcissistic novice. He's a person, and he stuck with you this far thick and thin. Like, shit, we just saw even last episode of being like, he was willing to get eaten by a smoky, sneaky, like, kaiju thing just to
abomination, Eldritch abomination.
Right.
Hit me one time. Hit me twice.
Right. But he was willing to die right there just to help you. He was also too willing to learn something he wasn't able to do before. Like, he didn't actually think he could actually enchant people. He was willing to, pretty much risk his neck. Like, even in even in that episode where they were in a in a timeline where the world, where the world was going to be destroyed, sitting there, being like, shit, we can't get out. What do we do? And because Loki, as we would have known him in Avengers, he would have found a way to run. Like, that's clear. Being like, yeah, if this was Loki in like Avengers time, he would have found a fucking way and been like, see ya, and we wouldn't even have this conversation right now. But that's where I think that's where her character falters. Like, you can't blame her because she's went through all the hurt and the pain to justify it, but it's just sad to see that you went through all this in this matter of time just to do the same thing that you would have before, and not trusting Loki at all, being like, even though he pretty much barely knew you and still did all these things for you, you still did that. It's really messed up.
I think to pick on what you just said towards the end there, it's sad that this is the case. I agree with that for a different reason. I think I really liked this. I agree she went through this development, but still did what she would have done had she not gone through that development.
Yeah, she went back on it.
It's like, oh yeah, she spent thousands of years running from the TVA, planning this, collecting the wee universe decimating things to try and pull off this plan and everything to get to the timekeepers and everything that happened in the show. But I think it's meant to be a sad scene because we've gotten to know her, we know what she's capable of, and she's warmed up and stuff. She's thawed a bit. But it's sad that she's still so full of hate for this and so driven by vengeance. Even when presented with, here's an alternate possibility, here's what we can do instead, and Loki trying to stop her, she's still so convinced that this is the thing she needs to do.
Right.
I think the worst part about it though is that's real. You know, like people will oftentimes want something so badly that no matter what they had beforehand, no matter what they cared about, they'll just throw it away to get it because of the need now. And the saddest part, what was that?
They don't care
What was
about
that, Sharon?
they don't care about the consequences. They'll do whatever it takes to get what they want. They can't let go of their pride. Or their
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Which is why it's so sad when Loki can do that now, and he literally points to himself and goes, "That's what you think, right, buddy? I want it." I think that I think there are some problems with the Sylvie thing. I kind of think I kind of relate where even though it could have saved the day for him to not punch Thanos, he was just so hurt he had to punch Thanos.
Right.
I I have to get because when
You're glitching again.
You're a glitch.
I
You're a glitch.
what god have I forsaken?
You said
Oh.
you were in a bad reception, so you're a glitch.
I need to get off of this timeline. Am I back? Am I wonderful? Am I good?
Yes.
You're back,
Good.
yeah.
All right. To finish my thoughts, and I'll just do final thoughts and go into rankings, and then I'll just fuck with the list for the rest of the time. I think episode 5 is still my favorite because episode 5 told me a story I wanted to hear. I just didn't know I wanted to. I loved classic Loki. It was so poetic. It was so beautiful. I loved it so much. This told me a story I knew I wanted to hear because I'm so excited for Kang. I've been saying it before Ant-Man and the Wasp. I've been saying it for forever now. Kang. Kang's got to be after Thanos. I was saying that before Infinity War came out. And now to see that giant statue of Kang the Conqueror right there, he's got to be the next Avengers baddie, right? He's got to be. And
I
they
would
built
be.
him up so well.
I would really be pissed if he ended up being like a one-noted villain. Like, oh, he only.
Oh yeah, if it's just Ant-Man.
Yeah, I'll be like, the only way I could see it being somewhat of a justification is if, for some reason, all of us, did not see this before, is if they were building up to somebody else bigger. That would be the only justification, only one that would make sense with everything that happened. Yes, Mephisto, I'm pretty sure might be a possibility later, but I'm really hoping, Kang's the next one. And maybe they might build up Mephisto later, even though I'll still be pissed if either one of them will be a one-noted, because they're too big to be one-noted. Being like other villains, I can fucking forgive to an extent so far, but you can't dismiss those two. Being like, no, they play a huge fucking role in the comics, so there's no way. But yeah, seeing that little snippet, I will not lie, I was actually really relieved. Because I was gonna be so pissed if they pulled another WandaVision with that, being like, God damn it, who then? I was gonna quit Marvel for a little bit, level, being like hiatus for a little bit. I need to cool off my steam. But yeah, I definitely say though, I still think the previous episode is still my favorite, and I think it's just because you got to see almost everyone being at their their shit going in almost full circle, with a few exceptions, of course. But yeah.
Well, do you want to go into your final thoughts and ranking then?
Final thoughts. Definitely was a good show. I will say that this is even though I haven't finished haven't finished, Falcon and Winter
Falcon
Soldier.
and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, still haven't finished that, but at least in comparison to like the 3 shows we've gotten so far, I think this one almost like rivals or almost exceeds WandaVision, only because of that flawed ending in WandaVision. If WandaVision went in a different way, WandaVision would have won for me. But this is really neck and neck. I want to say that Loki is the superior show, but that's like picking a hair off my head. Like thinness of it being like just one single strand of hair, like difference being like, yeah. And it's only because of the way WandaVision ended is the only reason I'm saying that. But it does still have its flaws with me for sure. Like I know we didn't get into like all the dynamics of like episode 6, but at least I think the only saving grace with it was the fact that they are going to make a season 2. Like it's confirmed, it's official, it's greenlit. Otherwise, I would have been saying something completely different. But with this episode, my ranking will have to be an 8.5 out of 10, only because there were also 2 other things we did not really dive into that I still had problems with. Like, yeah, Sylvie was the huge one for me. Miss Minutes was also another one, only because of the fact of being like, oh, you only brought her in here for basically kind of nothing. Like, yes, I'm glad she's more involved than what was portrayed, but that was also kind of redundant at the same time, and etc. But yeah, but it wasn't a bad episode. I still think the episode prior is the best episode. And also too, they did.
I agree. What was that?
Oh, I said, and they still left some things unanswered, but that's where them confirming season 2 kind of saved that for me, being like, okay, you at least have a second season, and hopefully you'll be bringing up a lot of the shit that you left out in season 1 to season 2.
Well, my thoughts, and I like that we feel so differently about this. I love this episode a lot. Like, I thought this was great. I thought, like, the dynamic was good. I loved, like, seeing these characters go through this trying time that, like, hurt them so badly. I think that, like, for my ranking and such, I'm trying to take everything into accountability here. I loved Kang's origin story. I loved the ending, which shocked me beyond belief, just seeing that statue.
Right.
I felt do you have anything else to add, Mel?
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say, and being like, and yes, and I agree. Like I said, like, all of my issues we didn't fully discuss about. That would have to be, like, a deep dive if we ever decide to do a deep dive with it, like, somewhere down the road. But no, but I see where you're coming from, being like, I love the fact that they built up pretty much, like, combining, He Who Remains and Kang, because it makes sense, being like, yeah, because like what you and I said to Jack, being like, his shit's a little bit more complicated, and they simplified. Even He Who Remains is not as complicated, but still is pretty complicated, being like, you wrapped it up in a bow nicely, being like, yeah, simplest way you can explain it to anybody. But yeah, like I said, like, a lot of my grievances, like, I only just point out like the few big ones that we talked about. It would have to be more of a deep dive discussion with the rest of it, but I still think 5 is secure. But I also understand why you actually really enjoy it, and I actually do love the fact that we do have differences with this episode.
Oh, yeah. I still got final thoughts to go for, but I think for my ranking, I hate to be that guy. It's a 10 out of 10. Like, it was really good for me. This whole show, I'm either going to give it the whole show in total. I'm going to have to think about this. I'm either going to give it a 9.5 or a 10 out of 10. It's one of those, because this show surprised me. All of the shows that have come out keep surprising me. But this one specifically, first episode, I was like, I feel so much for this character. And then going forward, that never stopped. And now I'm at a point where I'm like, I need more of this. I'm glad out of all of them, this got the season 2. Kang's origin was great, really simplified and fixed a lot of stuff. I can't say enough how much I respect this episode for what it set up. And I guess that will be my final thoughts on Loki episode 6. It was really great. Jack, anything you want to go into?
Yeah.
Make it count, buddy.
We didn't even address the opening of this episode.
Oh, with
No,
the
we
screaming?
didn't.
Here's the
Opening
thing.
fantastic. It
The
was
reason
fantastic.
The reason I didn't address it, I don't even fucking understand it. Why was Nelson Mandela yelling at the beginning of my Loki episode?
It was just a
We
bunch
also,
of
we also had
quotes.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Neil deGrasse Tyson was in there.
Brett Thunberg and other like speakers and Neil Armstrong.
Is that just what the timeline sounds like?
Yeah, because when it started off with like the Marvel logo, I thought it's like, oh, okay, this is. I wonder if we'll do this going forward instead of the fanfare. We'll just have all these iconic lines from throughout the shows. But then it kept going. We got some from real life mixed in as well.
You wanna know something I thought? It was either right towards the beginning or it's what they started with. I heard the music that plays during Cap's ending scene, and I had a flashback to the fact that what?
It's been a long time. Title of the song.
And I had a flashback to the fact that Cap went to like an alternate timeline or something. So his time traveling probably would have created a branch. And I was like, oh, fuck, are we about to see the trial of Captain America? And I was like flipping out and I was like, wait, no, okay, the timeline
I
just
think
sounds
the
like
one. I think the
Shield
one that
got
like
back.
actually. I think we definitely need to probably do like a deep dive of this episode, like in a different video. I feel because I don't feel like this episode would justify it. Maybe it can be a bonus episode of being like the shit we did not cover. But I think with that opening, I think the one that actually made me cry was actually like hearing Chadwick Boseman's voice again, especially like hearing that he did one final fucking thing before he died, and I was just like, why?
That's how you're gonna feel all over again in What If.
Yeah.
I almost cried.
Yeah.
I really almost cried. I will say Black Panther is literally my favorite Marvel thing ever. It is. It really holds a special place in my heart. I really don't want to go into details why, because I might offend people, but like
Maybe,
I freaking
maybe we'll get that on the randomizer. Who knows?
Right, and maybe that can be like a discussion for like another video we do that relates to Marvel. But no, I agree with you, Sheriff. But yeah, like, but otherwise, besides Chadwick's voice like making me cry, yeah, I was kind of freaked out. But I feel like we would have to do like a deep dive of everything we have not talked about with this episode. There was a lot.
I think we should.
No, I think we should too.
I think what we should honestly do is sit on this, think about it, and then rewatch the episode like a couple weeks down the line and then be like, all right, now we do it. Because the problem with this is we're still hurting. The episode was harsh.
Despite it having been, for some of us out, like for me it's been like, we're at 2 now, it's been 5 hours since I watched the episode. So you watched it yesterday, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and I just
well
watched
over 12 hours now. I think one of the scenes we didn't talk about, which I'll just bring up briefly, God, Mobius, with Loki being like hugging him goodbye in the last episode and being like, be safe, my friend, or whatever he said. And this episode to be like, who are you? I'm like, no!
I know, I was like, did he forget him? Oh my god.
It's a variant. It's a variant where Kang owns the TVA. He's in a branch.
Or is this the rewritten version of the TVA because of that, and this is how the TVA has always been because of that? Or did this new Kang come in and everyone's memories have been changed? If so, Loki can enchant people now. He can bring them all back. So many questions. And then there's a great... I was looking at like reviews and stuff, and I want to bring up some headlines before we close of different like news outlets headlines for this finale. But one just said, it's like, oh yeah, literally anything can happen now.
Oh yeah.
Marvel. It's like, yeah.
Oh, I hate
what's your
this
ranking
right
though?
now.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, so actually, guys, I actually have an important phone call I have to take, so
Go ahead
I'm
and
actually
jump.
going to hop off. Yep. But bye, guys. I hope to talk to you guys here soon.
Bye.
Till next
Bye
time.
now. You are good.
Bye.
Continue, Jack. If we want to deep dive into anything else, I guess we can do it here real quick.
Okay, we'll quickly then on the opening. I took note just on the opening, trying to pick out. I mean, the quote is by people and stuff, but like the music, there were a bunch of different songs they played. Again, there was a long time the Cap and Peggy slow dance at the end of Endgame. There was the Swan Lake suite.
I love Swan Lake.
I thought there was a snippet of Despacito in there.
I heard it too. I heard it.
It might just be some other song that's a similar genre. I don't know.
I heard
But
like a song that was in a different language.
Yeah.
I guarantee you're right.
I was looking it up before we started, and I had anyone broken down. People had broken down like, here's what all the Marvel quotes were and all the real life quotes, but no one's broken down like the music and stuff yet. So I can't wait to see either Marvel themselves, because it was such a jumble, say everything that was in it, or we're never gonna find out. But that was great. I loved the Citadel at the end of time. The sort of like cracked veins of gold through everything was a very nice aesthetic too. I was like the first chamber they come in where they have the Miss Minutes confrontation. The statues, two hooded figures whose faces are just clock faces, because it's the Miss Minutes room, you know.
There was a broken statue.
Yes,
there
there
were
were 4
guards.
statues. Three of them were the timekeepers we met, and one was broken on the floor. And that was
I don't even know what that means, and I read the books.
apparently, because again, when I was doing my looking to see if I could find what all the songs were and stuff from that opening, apparently in the comics there is like a 4th renegade timekeeper.
Oh,
who's helped
that
with that
sometimes
before or something. I
I
don't
guess
know.
I forgot about him. Huh. I do not remember a 4th timekeeper. I don't know much about the TVA. I think I should be real. I know a lot about Kang. I don't know much about the TVA.
So how would you rank it?
The Franklin High going back to school to prove to everyone that they're variants by going to Ravona's prime timeline, sacred timeline version of herself. That was great. I'm glad they got a payoff for that pen that wasn't just is something from the real world because they're from the real world.
Mm-hmm.
That was good. I like that it was 2018 as well, because people had been theorizing, how did Kang give her this position of power because he knew her? No, she's from 2018.
I like that that's not like in the MCU, I guess, going forward. And I'm sorry to interrupt you. I know you want to get to
No, I know.
In the MCU, I guess, going forward, Ravonna Renslayer is not that school teacher. It's actually like the variant is the only one that is Ravonna Renslayer.
Yeah,
like that's just some random woman. So the MCU's version is that variant.
That might not even be her name.
Oh yeah, it's probably not
Agent Mobius.
I'm just saying, if someone called their
numbers,
if I walked into a classroom and there was a teacher named Miss Renslayer, she's in the wrong line of work.
She gonna renslay our soul.
Woodwork teacher called
She gonna renslay us all, y'all. She gonna renslay us.
Lots of great shots. The camera was great. There were so many long takes, and just to let the actors act just their faces. There was, of course, everything with He Who Remains going so much. They just did the same shot, just the camera going in and out of him very slowly as he's monologue, as he's talking. But still, my favorite of that is when he realizes this is new. Oh my god, I don't know what's going to happen now. And it's just that slow realization of him, wait. Yes, I don't know what's happening. And we got a similar bit with Loki then at the end after everything had happened. He just sat there in the camera slowly, and we just get him going through a range of emotions before, okay, into action. I need to go tell everyone what just happened.
I think right there is where he fucks everything up with Sylvie. Because literally beforehand, he was like, no more lies. And then he goes, I told a fib. So I think right there, immediately Sylvie's like, well, can't believe this asshole.
Yeah. He's like, okay, well, he is clearly still willing to lie, so yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if we come back to this later, I can go through the rest of the notes. I don't know as much else. The debate when we saw this timeline, again, from that opening, just to show you this thing orbiting them is the timeline, and seeing it start to branch off and everything. Great visuals, and as it continues to branch off more and more, so that at the end, if it's just web of branching arms and everything, was great.
It's the end of the world.
The Web of Fate, Madam Web, No Way Home, who knows?
It's
Ultimately, the note I want to leave us on before my score is, my score, this was a 10 out of 10. I give the past 3 episodes a 10 out of 10 each. I think, unfortunately, the previous episode is maybe a slightly lower 10 out of 10 just because my first viewing experience wasn't great of it. Like, I didn't even see Frog Thor because the screen display was so dim first time I watched. But no, all of these were 10 out of 10 episodes. The thing I want to end my final thoughts on is I really hope now, and I don't know how realistic it is, I sincerely hope the villain for Loki in Loki Season 2 is Kang.
Mm-hmm.
The villain for No Way Home will be Kang. The villain for Multiverse Madness will be Kang. The villain for Quantum Mania will be Kang. The villain for the next Avengers movie will be Kang. For Fantastic Four, it could even be Kang, if you want to bring that up. I want us to keep getting this, because the actor's name...
Jonathan Majors.
I have the IMDb tab. I want him to, like, when we see him again, to just be playing a totally different character.
Oh, yeah.
I want him to play it completely differently every time. If we're just doing variants, we can do what we did with Loki and have, there are other Loki variants, like the President Loki who look like Tom Hiddleston, or classic Loki who looks like an older Tom Hiddleston. We could just have other actors playing the other Kangs, because, again, I think the one that everyone has been bringing up recently just to try and explain Kang is, Mortis, Iron Lad, Rama Tut, so it's like Egyptian Pharaoh. We could have different actors playing them, but I also really want to still see him playing alternate Kangs drastically differently. It means that we can have, because they're variants, we can have you defeat a Kang. There's still an infinite number of others, because that's how Infinity works.
One of my favorite things that was said by Nick Fury in the Avengers Earth's the Mightiest Heroes cartoon was, even if you defeat Kang, another form of him can always come back. So I'm with you. I don't necessarily want him to be the villain of a Spider-Man movie, but I am at your side, man. I want the Avengers to fight him. I want Ant-Man to fight him. I want the Guardians of the Galaxy to know he exists. And I want Kang to be the next villain. I want him to be the next Thanos until we get to Phase 5 or the future phases. I'm ready for Kang, and that statue at the end, that was not a variant. That was not a Mortis. That was not this Tut guy. That costume, that is Kang the motherfucking Conqueror, and I am ready. Share your final thoughts and ranking.
Yeah, I know. Sorry guys, I haven't been talking throughout this and most of this episode because I had family.
It's cool. We'll do another one.
Yeah, but I'm still shook on Miss Minutes.
She was scary.
She was scary. Oh my god. I swear, if I have freaking nightmares about Miss Minutes, oh.
She used to give you so much joy.
That joy turns into terror.
Hiya.
Like looking at it. I literally have a Chicago because my family really loves Chicago. I have a Chicago Bears clock right in front of me that is ticking, and I'm trying not to hold my breath.
So this is completely real. Because of how much you loved her in the earlier episodes, for Christmas I was actually gonna buy you a Miss Minutes clock. Good thing I didn't do that, right?
I mean, you still can. I still like her song.
As long as it's not gonna give you panic attacks.
I think we just need time to just hoax.
Final thoughts and ranking, though?
Oh yeah, but yeah, the opening was really great. I think one of my favorite lines was from WandaVision. Vision. She said, "What is grief without love and preserving?" I so love that quote. I literally just watched.
Is in this
I
episode?
think the YouTube channel name is called Cinema Therapy, and they just recently did an episode about WandaVision and the stages of grief. So that quote still holds on. Again, Miss Minutes. I think everybody was right except for me. Except for me, everybody was right.
Eldritch Abomination. Eldritch Abomination.
The reason why I dressed up as Dorothy, because there's just so many parallels to Wizard of Oz, man. I freaking love Wizard of Oz, and yeah, freaking He Who Remains is like the wizard, but he's like there's many different variations of Wizard of Oz. He's like the Wicked Wizard of Oz. You've seen like the Broadway musical Wicked. That's who he is in my mind. He's like the Wicked Wizard of Oz.
The one where it's like he's a businessman?
Yeah. That's who I see him as. Not the James Franco or the other versions, but the freaking Wicked, because I gotta get my Wicked on. I still need to watch that Broadway show. I still have yet to watch it, but I know the story. Yeah.
But what is your ranking? What number would you assign this? Because I have a feeling you're probably not going to go 10.
I mean, I would have liked a little bit more Miss Minutes, despite that creepy jump scare.
I think that's your review for every single episode. It's just enough Miss Minutes.
You gotta respect it, though.
Oh yeah.
My review of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, not enough Batrock the Leaper.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was kind of listening in and out because I was trying to get my stuff. But I get the whole Sylvie thing, but at the same time I was like, does she really have to do that? She couldn't just like go for big ego and just trust them. Whatever. Maybe we might get final answers for season 2. I don't know. Still wish they did. It's the end of the world as we know it. They didn't do it, and I'm sad because I freaking love that song.
Season 2.
Maybe season 2, maybe. And I'm so sad that Mobius and B-15 and everyone doesn't remember Loki, but I it's whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I also wrote some notes down too. I just like that one quote that Sylvie said. She's like, "A bazillion boogeymen will show up if we give him free will," and I was like, "Well, as long as the boogeymen are voiced by Jude Law, I mean, I don't really care." If it's Jude Law, amen. Freaking love her.
That's a reference to the Guardians. Yeah.
No, there are great parts in this episode as well.
Yeah,
Chef,
but
your number.
Oh yes, my glorious purpose. I'm gonna give it a 9.5.
That's a good number. I think you gave last episode a 10, right?
Yeah, I gave the last episode. I like the last episode a little bit better than this episode, but I still think it's good regardless.
I feel it. So, last episode with Jack's 10, I think that ups last episode to
39.5.
Holy fuck!
So
almost a
rundown of the scores this show, all rounded to be from 4 and everything, all out of 40.
Episode 1.
Episode 1, we gave 32.5.
Out of 40.
out of 40. Episode 2. Oh, wait, no, sorry, that was, yeah. Right? Maths.
Uh-oh.
I think that's right.
Oh no.
Yes, it is. Yes. Because I've got no's when the cast went down to 3 and then back, yeah. 32.5. Episode 2 was a 36.
Episode 3 is the lowest, I know that for sure.
Episode 3 was 24.
Oof.
Yeah. Which is still...
That's still
above average.
halfway. That's still a good number.
It's below average, but it's not like an F.
No. Episode 4 was 38. Episode 5, 39.5.
Dang.
Episode 6, 38. Wow. A very strong ending there.
Much
I
stronger
mean-
than WandaVision.
Like, genuinely, those final 3 episodes, I wouldn't want them as a movie, but to compare them to Marvel movies, just those last 3 episodes are up there.
I said this before. I'll say it again. You can't really compare Black Widow to this. It's just not fair. Like
I'm gonna see it tomorrow, but
I won't spoil it for you guys, but like, it's not Loki.
yeah. I think when we were getting ready to record this and I went to grab a drink just before we started, I was thinking, I really enjoyed this. I think, I dare say, taking them as isolated products, that the Loki TV series is better than Avengers Endgame. Because Avengers Endgame works so well because of the previous decade's worth of stuff and investment in the characters and payoff to going back to these locations and everything it does works so well because of everything else. It's like when we talked about Clone Wars before, the finale works so well because you know the rest of the Star Wars saga. Endgame works so well because of everything else. It's still a good movie. It's a great movie, but it works. It's an amazing movie because of everything else. Loki, Episode 1 piggybacked off the rest of the MCU, and after that it was its own thing.
Oh yeah.
You don't need any more context. I think it's amazing.
I do want to say though that even though Loki is just arguably the best, I do want to point out that none of these shows have been bad, which is 100% got me excited for Hawkeye and the future shows. But what if it's gonna be dope, dude? What if it's gonna be nuts?
I know.
So
Trailer.
now we're at the end, and this officially starts our 1 month of doing exclusively. Now, the only list I could get this time is a little less than last time, so we're working with Jack. Could you give me a number generator?
We didn't even do plugins yet.
Yeah, we'll do plugs after this part.
Oh, okay. Wait, you said it's a month thing? My birthday's next month, and I turn 21. I really like to do something special. If you guys don't mind.
We'll see what we can do. But 1 to 29.
Oh, just 20.
Oh.
No, 1 to 209.
I was like 1 to 29. That's pretty short.
All the Muppet movies.
All the Muppet movies? You put all the
1
Muppet
to 209, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Choose wisely. It better not be a documentary.
20.
23. That's at the very beginning. Let me check it out.
Oh boy, it better not be a documentary.
23 is... Oh no.
What is it? What is
Got
it?
a bad one.
Is it Miraculous Ladybug?
What is it?
No.
I'm kidding.
Oh my god, Guardians of the Galaxy is right next to it.
What do we get?
It's in between Big Hero 6. We got Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, we're gonna rip that thing to shreds.
Yep.
Wait. Say it again.
We're gonna rip
Tim
this.
Burton's Alice in Wonderland.
Oh
die.
my god! I'm just gonna say this. I kind of like the movie.
That's okay.
And also, there's a possible chance I might either dress up as the White Queen or the Red Queen because Descendants D&D game. I'm Heather, the daughter of the Queen of Hearts. So, this is gonna get awkward.
Yeah.
Because I kind of like Tim Burton's. I like the first one. I don't like the second one. Wait, this is the first one, right? It's not the second one, right? What?
Uh-oh. We're losing Neil
Oh
again.
no.
Can you guys hear me? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, you back?
I hope so. Here. Oh,
You're breaking
fuck,
up so
they can't
much.
hear.
You're
We can hear you.
breaking
You're
up
back,
so
Neil.
much.
Am I back?
You're back.
Yeah,
Can I-
you're kind of
can I
glitchy
just
though,
read
but you're back.
I'm sad.
So we're doing the first Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland movie, right? Okay. I just feel, oh my god, everyone's gonna kill me next week. I'm gonna get killed next week. I'm gonna get
If
murdered.
you like it.
I'm gonna
I'm
get
just
I think
mad.
it's fine, but
Yeah, but can I read what's surrounding it? It is literally like right above it is Big Hero 6, then Headless Horseman.
oh.
Then right below it is, well, I guess we kind of lucked out because right below Guardians of the Galaxy is High School Musical, the series, the holiday special.
Oh hell no.
okay.
But below that is Bad Batch.
Oh
Oh,
man, we could have watched Bad Batch.
Bad Batch has been great.
Man.
If you're not watching it, people watching this, watch it.
Okay. No, but my dad
There
wants
are
to
a
watch
lot
it, but
right
he's been so
next
busy.
Oh, it's real good. It's real. They had a thing with Rebels last episode.
Oh boy.
But
Next
let's go ahead and plugs.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
And next week we will be doing Tim Burton's.
Oh,
I gotta be real. I fucking hate this movie.
I kind of like it. I
Okay.
kind of like it.
Again, you can prove all the naysayers wrong who said that you just talk positive, Neil. You can.
Yeah, I can fucking shit talk a movie.
Anyone, yeah,
Nice.
vote down below. I will either do White Queen or the Queen of Hearts. Anyone, you guys should vote. Because I will dress up next week for sure.
This does not put a smile on my face.
Yeah,
go ahead
no,
and plug
for real
yourself.
though. I thought it was gonna be Miraculous Lady.
Oh, the odds of that happening.
Odds of that are 1 in 290. 209. Yeah, plugs. Hi, I'm Jack of All Trades. You can find me at Jack of All Trades on YouTube. Jack of All Trades on TikTok. Both of them will be linked down below. I'm also gonna plug my Instagram.
We'll have the full list of.
I'm gonna plug my Instagram because today for Loki, I went out and did a photo shoot with this new headpiece and everything that I made today to sort of celebrate. So you can find me at Jack Buist Art with underscores in between each word. Links in the description below.
I stopped talking about merch on the show, but they're selling, I believe it's at GameStop. They're selling those horns and Sylvie's as like a pair.
These are.
Nice.
I just haven't broken one of them yet.
Nice. I'm gonna get killed next week. I'm gonna get killed. I don't know about who, but I'm gonna get killed by somebody. Maybe.
I
don't hate it. I just think it's meh.
I despise it. I think it's bad.
My opinion may change in the coming week when I watch it again for the first time in however many years, but
I'm gonna get creamed.
It's so
gonna
gray.
get
It's
burned.
so gray.
I'm gonna get burned up the stairs.
Real fast, real
Cast
fast.
voice it. And try and balance it out.
Real fast, I'm gonna plug Mel's Instagram. Check her out at Imperfect Vanity. Check me out at twitch.tv/DrNeilToBooks. Our month is still full force. Our next video is going to be talking about the, and maybe we'll do another Q&A stream in the future on this channel because people really liked that and there were a lot of Hawkeye questions. I liked that.
Oh, and
Sherry, you got anything to plug?
Facebook and Twitter. It's just my first and last name. I still gotta figure out how to change my username on Twitter. I also do follow Terror Strong, so yeah. Oh, but I'm gonna get creamed next week. I'm so dead. I'm gonna get burned out the stake.
I mean,
Merelda from Hunchback.
I mean, as
You know what?
they say in the
think-
movie,
I-
we're
I
all
think-
mad.
I think
Everybody's
because
just mad about
technically, I did dress up as the Queen of Hearts from my Heather video for the Sentence D&D game. So I'm gonna do the White Queen next week. Hopefully, it still fits me because there's certain areas that I am very judgy on.
with my
So those
purple hair.
comments below, too bad.
Oh well, maybe
With my purple hair, I
doubt
do a Cheshire Cat
anyone's gonna
then.
do voting. No
we
one's
should.
gonna vote for me.
We
It's
should.
okay.
We all need to dress up as Alice in Wonderland characters now. Okay.
You should like.
I'll dress up as the colorful and beautiful Cheshire Cat with his purple and pink.
Yeah, you would totally be good as a Cheshire
And then
Cat.
put a
You would-
black and white filter over it.
You know what? Wait, no. You know what? I need to debate this with my mom. I'm gonna ask her because she loves when I dress up for
It's
this.
so cool.
I'm gonna ask her for the Red and White Queen. You know what? I'm gonna ask. I'm not.
Well,
It's not definitive.
for
I'm
now-
still wishy-washy. I'm still wishy-washy.
Next
right
week. That's next week.
Next week. Oh god, I'm not ready. Dude.
Themselves
We,
before.
again, not another day. But thank you all for watching. Mobius did not get his jet ski right.
And Miss Menace is still scary as hell.
Fucking burn down Disney. Burn down fucking Disney now.
This season didn't have a happy ending. Let's leave the happy ending for later.
Miss
Although
Menace is still scary.
Everyone getting free will is kind of a good thing. So.
I love you, Terror Strong, but you're still scary. You're scary. I love you though.